Hello, brother and sister, and once again I come to you to give you thanks, giving our Father thanks and praises for the love and mercies that He has brought forth, that we may continue to live in a way that is acceptable to Him and in a way that is acceptable toward mankind and our brethren and our sisters. I thank the Lord today for all His goodness and His mercies and His love that abounds us all in our good times and in our bad times as well, even in our times of when we don't really feel good about ourselves. I thank the Lord for that too, or things that we do. I know, especially when we lose a loved one who's very close, uh, that can tend to put a damper on our spirits and cause us to do things that we normally would not do. and but just remember, through it all, our Father is the one who makes this available to us, and He truly wants us to be happy through all that we do and all the junctures we go through, as long as we serve Him and live accordingly to His word and do things by His will, and not in our own understanding of the way we have been taught to understand things. Because some things that we do understand are not true the ways of the Lord. And whether you have whatever you do, whatever your job is, even if your job is dealing with people directly, say for instance in a position of say a human resource manager or labor relations manager uh, under contract unions and so forth. Now there has to be a balance. Now, I believe that everyone should work and work diligently and work to the best of their ability. That's straight up and uh, periodly said, because that's something that we should do. And and I also feel that companies and HRs and labor relation boards and unions should also strive to make sure that everything is accordingly and just and not one-sided either way, causing any unilateral decisions being made or placed on anyone, and any favoritism that goes along with some places that are not truly organized with their employees. But anyway, that comes later on in some other chapters I'll come across. But mainly, I want to continue on where I left off, uh, about the water and the earth. If you haven't seen the water and the earth prior to this, you should see the water and listen to the water and earth video first before listening to this one. Uh, if you don't know my channel, that channel is named Jah Scholar. That's JAHSCHOLAR. You can Google that or put it in the YouTube search bar, and you'll find it. Lastly, I left off on Genesis 1, verse 13. Excuse me, verse 13 is where I left off, so I'll begin on the 14th verse of Genesis in chapter 1. And God said, "Let there be light in the firmament of the heaven, to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon the earth." And it was so. So, that being said, uh, we had talked earlier about the first day where a light was created. And I was saying that, well, this wasn't true the light that you may be thinking, but this was just an illumination of the sky that was put in place. And it was done so that man could see where everything could see where it is without having this light I'm about to go over now. Now in the 15th verse, It says, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, verse 16. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw it was good. And the evening and the morning was the fourth day. Now, praise the Lord for that word. Now, this is where the Lord created the sun and the moon and the stars. You know, I don't know how many of y'all have ever witnessed or seen the moon being out while the sun is still shining. You see the image of the moon in the sky shining, and the sun is still out. But have you ever noticed that still the sun takes rule over the day? Even if the moon is out, the sun still takes rule over the day. And of course, at night, we don't get the sun, but we do see the moon and the stars. And these were the lesser lights to let you know it's still night. But the Lord had the decency to still give us some light at night, or what is I call a night light, or a night glowing, that we wouldn't just be in total darkness. Because if one would think, if there's no street lights and there's nothing at all, say if you lived out in the country where it's just a wooded area with no lights, no, there's no lights there, and if the moon doesn't shine and stars that gives us light, gosh, we would just be in total darkness and total blackness, and in a total light that you wouldn't even know which way to go. Even though it's still hard, but at least you have some kind of light to see. Now, I know a lot of us has been told in our education societies uh, that the cause of the moon glow is because the moon absorbs the light from the sun and gives off this illumination. Well, not according to the word, because the Lord called it a light. Now, I don't know about his lights, but I don't believe that the sun is what caused the moon to glow, because the moon is a light within itself, according to the word. So therefore, I don't believe in the school book theory that I learned. I was told that, the sun absorbed light from the sun, and that's why it glows, because I just don't believe that according to the word that says the Lord made a lesser light and a greater light, one ruling day and one ruling night. And also with the lesser light, he made the stars that gives us some form of light as well. Uh, Now, I know some people have called them, the sun and the moon are just little suns. Stars and moons are just little suns, and I fail to believe that, because by saying so is saying that, well, the Creator, our Father, didn't know what He was talking about, and I just fail to believe that, because if we just look at the way things are done toward mankind today, we see that man continually do man wrong and deceive people and do all sorts of things. Deception is abound and continually runs through man. Now, and especially man that doesn't have a clue of the understanding of the word, because of the Lord, because our Father has taught us the way. It's just up for us to adhere to those ways. Now, he really didn't give us a lot to learn, but he did give us some things that could truly uh, help us help us out if we just took the time to understand exactly what it is he's saying and try to break it down as I'm doing here, to bring forth truth and not be lost in deceptions. Uh, you know, because when I grew up, I'll tell you a little about when I grew up. I remember all the stories about the cow jumping over the moon, the man in the moon. Uh, what else was it? The mouse fork ran away with the spoon, and the plate ran away with the fork, or whatever it was, and cat having 9 lives, and all these things I tend to believe. I mean, at least a majority of them. Um, you know, Humpty Dumpty that sit on the wall, and then I also remember about the murderous kid song about "Rockabye Baby" in the treetop, and when the wind blows, the cradle will rock, and down comes the baby, cradle and all. I think that's a sad thing to do, to place in a child's mind a murderous thoughts, because that's like saying, okay, you put a child in a treehouse, and then with the wind comes real hard, you could actually rid of the baby, because the wind will knock him out of his cradle, and he'll fall to the ground, and that'll be the end of the baby. Uh, I've seen things like that happen not only in our childhood days, but also in our adult days, where people have tried to find ways to go against the sayings of the Lord, and there's multiplication, and find ways that man can destroy one another. And many of educated people are what I consider as truly being undereducated, are going along with these principles, regardless of what portion of mankind they hurt in doing so. We have computers and technology today, and these computers and technologies that we have, a lot of people has not gasped onto these technologies, and it's placed many people out of work. And even though the companies are making much more money, and the governments of the world are suffering due to people with a lack of skill to get a job, and if there is even a job left due to the mass amount of work these technologies are doing, that's even displacing people even further. Um, and this is, to me, this is a form of losing our way of mankind, and truly destroying what the Lord had placed on this earth for us to be, and how He wanted us to do it. And as I went read earlier, how the Lord put the grass and the fruit trees and the herbs in the fields on the earth, that this was our food, and of course the sun and the other lights were energy toward these grasses and trees and herbs for us to live, because our main concern is to have a place to have food to eat, and have some type of shelter over our bodies. It didn't say you need a 50-room house to be comfortable. As far as I'm concerned, it mentioned something about a tent and being comfortable, and just having enough just to just to get along, and not trying to mistreat one another and do people wrong. Um, I know people put people over people, but I don't think that's even a beautiful thing either, because people are truly being dismayed and oppressed and all kinds of things by in doing so. Regardless of what level of achievement they make. They can give you any people will give you any title you want. They'll give you all kinds of titles and have you mistreating people. A title shouldn't be to mistreat a person. It's like the higher your title go, the more you should love. And if you're not showing love, it's because you don't know love. Because first of all, for us who don't know love, God is love, and there's no other love other than Him. So if you're not loving Him, then how could you love anyone else? You can't even love yourself. Um, but anyway, these are just some topics that'll come later on in my sermon or in my teachings. Uh, that we'll tend to learn. Once again, like I said, I'm an Israelite, and Israelites. Many of you may, some of you may have seen Israelites on different videos standing in the streets of downtowns and cities and going back and forth throughout the Bible and saying different things, which I don't necessarily think they are incorrect, but a lot of the things they say I used to think myself until the word of the Lord came unto me and told me differently, or had instruction for me alone. And the Lord and our Father asked me, or instructed me on what to teach, what to say, and where to be in the Word. Now, so what I bring forth to you is the things where I've been instructed to bring forth. So I don't want to go into, well, this said that or this says that, because it's not about that. It's not about what said and who said and what wrote what. Basically, I'm telling you about what our Father is doing. You know, I'm telling you about the things our Father did and why He did some of these things. Of course, I don't know everything, every reason why He did things, but I know the way in Genesis, the way things were started out with the heaven and earth being made, and then some light to distinguish day and night, and then of course the plants and grass and trees, and then with the greater and lesser lights, the sun and the moons, uh, coming forth to bring even greater light than we had currently had, that was currently here in the universe. I call it the universe because that's what I know it as, the universe. I never seen the word universe in the Bible. I've seen it as heaven and earth. So I would say in the heavens and in the earth. Uh, but as we've been educated, it being a universe. Well, if you want to call it universe, that's fine, because that just reaffirms that the Lord created the original university, and the original university is where all learning begins. Hey, right, amen, brother and sister. Now, come up with another video after this one. I'll be looking forward to speaking with you a little bit more, and I'm looking for some comments. I want some feedback, and I want us to really delve into this and stop being deceived. You know, I don't like a lot of things I hear. I'm not the kind of person that's going to bring the word forth and be jumping from Genesis 1 and then go jump into Revelations 10 and back to Matthew 6 and back to Psalms 28. No, I'm just like your school teacher. I'm going to start you from the beginning, and we're going to go through this until we get it through. Some things I may repeat, and the reason for my repeat, my repetitious ways, is because we all have different levels of understanding, different levels of learning. Some people may understand things, you know, point blank, A, B. Where other people, you know, you got to distinguish those lines in the alphabet. So, therefore, I'm going to break some things down like Jane, like me, Tarzan, and you, Jane, and because I want everyone to understand that it's not just me, it's everyone that needs to understand what we have and what we need to achieve. And we can't all achieve it the same way, because if we could, then we'll all be the same person, and we're not. So we have to find an individual way to achieve these things, but at least just by listening, you're learning, and your eyes are your teachers. So um, I'm going to close this particular chapter off, and I will see my brother and sister later. And may God bless and keep you. And remember, always keep Him first in all that you do, and fear Him. Fear Him with your whole heart and soul. Even, you know, all day long, you should fear the Lord. And we're going to go into that as well. All right, brothers. Talk to you later. I love you all much. God bless. I'll be looking forward to seeing you again.